everyone, it's Nina. Thanks so much for joining me today for a new tutorial. I have a different project to share with you today, and it involves macrame. The art of macrame was big back in the 1970s, and it's recently made a comeback. We have a whole bunch of kits that you can use to make fun macrame projects here at Simon Says Stamp. I'm going to be using one of them today, and I'm going to show you what you can do with this macrame project beyond just the basic color of the cotton rope. We're going to go totally rainbow here. So the kit that I'm using today is the My Life Handmade Macrame Wall Hanging Craft Kit. This is a really nice kit. It comes with everything you need to build your beautiful macrame project. It has an instruction book with the pattern for this particular kit, with all the details, including the knots that you'll need to make the project. I also have in this kit the cotton rope. This is a really nice big length of cotton rope that you're going to use to create your knots for the macrame project, all of which gets hung on the wooden dowel. There's an S hook if you want to use that to hang your macrame project from, but I'm actually going to use it to help hold it in place as I work with it. And then all of your pieces could go inside this tote if you want to take it on the go. One of the big things I learned when making this macrame project is to make sure you carefully measure and cut. I somehow accidentally made a mistake in the cutting and measurement process. Not sure what I did wrong, but I ended up with too short of a piece of rope left behind for my last length that I needed for the project. You need a total of 14 lengths of rope, plus then the piece that's going to hang your entire project. I somehow had a shorty. Obviously, the kit comes with just enough rope to be able to make your project, so make sure you're super careful in measuring and cutting. I happen to have some cotton rope on hand that was about the same size, so I could easily fix my mistake, but definitely it was something I wanted to make sure to mention. Now, I'm not going to walk you through the entire process of making this macrame project. The instructions in the kit are super detailed. There's photos, and it's a really easy thing to build. You're going to use two basic knots throughout this project, a square knot and a double half hitch knot. Both of these are really easy to get the hang of. Once you do one, you kind of get in a groove and you continue to do that particular knot for a period of time. So it's really easy to do and kind of very therapeutic. I'm going to show you here, I'm working on the square knot first. I was kind of repeating in my head, over, under, over. It's a really simple knot to do. And this is the knot you're going to be using most of all when you're creating this project. So I'm going to continue my square knot building. And one other thing I thought I would mention, as you're creating, make sure you're using a large surface to work on. I have a pretty good sized desk, and I was using every inch of it to be able to make this project because this one's a bigger sized piece. So it requires a lot of space to be able to keep your rope out of the way as you're working with the other pieces, because you're working in groups of 4 most of the time. So having the rope tucked out of the way off the side of the table is really, really helpful. This gets a little bit weighty with all of that extra rope hanging down, and your project could easily fall off the table. I use that S hook every once in a while and attached it to something on my desk to be able to hold the piece in place as I worked with it if I needed to have all of the rope hanging down. But this was really pretty easy to do. Now, at some point during the project, you're going to need to number all of your ropes. I discovered that the easiest way to work with this was to add Post-it notes onto each individual rope piece, because I need to know exactly which rope is which as we start making certain knots across this project. So having a sticky note attached to each individual piece, numbered in order that the instructions called for, was really easy, because now as I'm working and needing to move the numbers up and down across my project as I create the knots, that allows me to easily remove the sticky notes and then put them back in place down below. It was a really simple and easy way to keep my pieces numbered, and I also made sure to mark on my book, the instruction booklet that you get with your kit, where I was in my steps of knot making, because you can easily get lost at times if you don't keep track on certain areas of this project. When you're working on each individual step, having an area marked on your book of where you're at and which pieces you've already completed was really, really helpful to me. The design of this macrame project is really cool. It has a very airy appearance to it, and I love all the different layers. As you're working with the knots, you have a lot of extra rope hanging down along the bottom, and that gives you a little bit of wiggle room to decide if you want to make the spaces in between each of your knot groupings larger or shorter. So my macrame project is completely put together. I have all of the knots made, and we're ending up at the bottom here with all of the hanging tassels. This is also super customizable. You could make these tassels as long or as short as you'd like. I went for a fairly good size length. I have a tall, skinny wall in my craft room where I felt that this piece would look really cool. So I wanted to make sure to fill that up nicely. So now that my macrame piece has been trimmed down, here is our entire piece put together. Now I haven't put the string to attach it to the wall yet on because I'm going to go ahead and spray paint this with Distress Spray Stains. So in my studio here, which is not very big, but I have enough space to be able to lay down some cardboard where I can keep my floor clean as I add Distress Spray Stain on top of my project. So I have it spread out on the cardboard and make sure it's nice and flat before coming in with my Distress Spray Stains. I'm using Abandoned Coral, Wild Honey, Twisted Citron, Cracked Pistachio, Broken China, and Wilted Violet. And at the very, very bottom, I also use KITSCH Flamingo. I'm spraying off on the end of the box here before going right to my project to make sure that my spray bottles are completely filled with ink inside of the nozzle before going right to my project, and then I won't have any weird splotches anywhere. I'm blending the colors as I go along, overlapping, so that way they create nice transitionals between each individual shade. This is going to dry completely overnight. I don't want to touch this yet until the morning because I want to make sure it's nice and dry. Once it's dry, I can now look at it and decide if there's any areas that need a little bit of touch-up. To aid in this drying process of these small touch-up areas, I'm bringing in my heat tool and applying that heat on top of this cotton cord and the Distress Spray Stain. Just make sure you move your heat tool around a little bit and don't leave it on a certain area for too long of a period because you don't want to burn your beautiful rope. I'm also making sure to fill in certain spots along the tassels here. I'm going to leave the backside of this its natural color, mostly because you're not going to see it, especially on the top part. The bottom part you might see a little bit as maybe the wind blows the tassels if you have your windows open. So I am going to kind of flip those around a little bit here and there and add a little bit of color to the backside of those, but really not a lot. I actually liked having a little bit of the lighter or natural cotton color peeking out here and there, so I did make sure to leave some of that so that I have some stripes of that natural color peeking through. It's totally your preference. If you want to spray the backside, you totally could. All right, now I have it laid out on a box because I'm going to go ahead and spray this with a protective coating. The reason I'm doing this is because we used Distress Spray Stain to color in this beautiful macrame project. And I don't want to ever have this reactivate by getting it wet by accident for whatever reason. So by using a protective coating here, I'm going to be able to seal that macrame project so that way I don't have any areas bleed or transfer color to places I don't want it. Check out how gorgeous this looks. Isn't this awesome? I can't wait to hang this in my craft room. The last thing I need to do is use the constrictor knot to be able to attach the wooden dowel to the piece of rope that's going to hang this from the wall. So you'll just follow the instructions for creating this particular knot, which is fairly simple and easy to do. Like I said, the instructions are really well detailed and all have pictures for every individual step. So it's really easy to follow. And once I have my constrictor knots made for both sides of this wooden dowel, I am going to go ahead and tie these into a knot at the end. Mostly because I didn't want to have the cotton rope fray completely. This rope is made up of a bunch of twisted threads, so it can easily fray. And I like having a slightly cleaner appearance, so having a knot at either end of my hanger portion of the wall hanging, this will keep everything from fraying. Now let me demonstrate to you why I added that spray coating over top of this macrame project. Here's a piece that is a tester piece basically. I applied some color to it, let it dry, added some protective coating on it, and now you can see when I get water on this particular piece, I'm not getting any of that ink to transfer back onto my hands. The link to the specific spray sealant that I used for this project is in the video description below or over on the blog. So be sure to check out the link for that and also all the other supplies that I used today. So my wall hanger is up in my office now. I have it hanging on that long skinny wall, which looks so cool. I love how it turned out. I love that I could turn this macrame project into something bright and colorful for my studio. I love the look of the cotton cord. It looks really nice, but I love color and I wanted to be able to have this have a little bit more pizzazz. So by adding this distress spray stain, I really was able to create the exact look that I wanted. You could totally change up the colors to create the exact color combo you wanted. Maybe you want to go more for an ombre of different colors of, let's say, blue or teal, yellow, whatever colors make you happy. Be sure to pick out colors that you love for your macrame project. I hope you were inspired by today's project using this macrame kit. I hope you will check it out and maybe even try it out for yourself. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for additional inspiration and give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed. I'll be back soon with more to share, but until next time, I hope you all have a very wonderful day. Bye!